And of course, on this funky green FT, there's what we're after. Let's get cracking. Yeah, correction, we might take this one. That Bellhousing looks more like the one I have. That one's huge. So I think that's more likely to fit. We'll take that one. Awesome news. It doesn't fit. I didn't know it at the time, but FT Bellhousings are larger and deeper than FE Bellhousings because they use 13-inch clutches and larger flywheels instead of 11-inch clutches. So unfortunately, this Bellhousing inspection plate I bought yesterday at the wrecking yard will not fit. Or will it? I've got an angle grinder. Okay, now obviously fixing the bolt pattern is easy because I'll just mark them out here. I'll go throw them on the drill press and drill them out. So that's the easy part. The real problem is, shortening this. I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to take the angle grinder and cut all around right here, and then maybe trim this off up here, take this now separated piece, put it down on that one, and then just weld it all around. I don't think it's got to be airtight or anything because these do have vent holes in them from the factory, and there's not a gasket between these surfaces, so, you know, it doesn't have to be airtight or anything. So I think that will work. Only one way to find out. Now, of course, some of you might be wondering, why can't I just go out and buy a new one? Well, the problem with that is I've only found one place that reproduces these, and they're very expensive, not to mention the other problem that ever since I started looking for one of these, something like 6 months ago, they've been out of stock, temporarily unavailable. I don't remember how they word it. Which is weird because if you go Google this is a part that everyone seems to need. And no one else reproduces it, so repro companies, you want to get on that. But also, I think maybe because of that, anytime these do pop up used on eBay or something, they're always super expensive. And I've decided I'm not going to let that day at the junkyard go to waste, and I'm not going to spend an arm and a leg on one of these. It's a beautiful night for April. No, I don't know what's going on over there, if you could hear that. Bunch of like kids screaming and that. Yeah, I'm glad that's over. That was definitely the more stressful of the two cuts. But looks like we got it right. I might have to maybe notch it out a little bit with the grinding wheel just to accommodate the spacer plate. It does have a very slight forward rake, but it did originally as well. So I'm gonna take it, it's supposed to have that. I'd rather have slightly more flywheel clearance than slightly less. You know, I'll err on the side of caution with that. But I'm just gonna go take a file and deburr this, and then we'll move on to the next one. I actually decided to just tack it in place while I had it clamped to the bell housing instead of cutting that cutoff smaller separately, because I thought it would give me a more accurate cut and it would be a lot easier. Who knows, I might have just made my life more difficult. So while it was clamped on the bell housing, I threw some tacks in it, and then I just took it off. And now I'm gonna put at least some semblance of weld around it so it holds together. Degreased good enough around the area we're welding. I'm gonna have to repeat this slowly around the perimeter, so bear with me here. Well, that's spring for you in northern Illinois. Anyway, now good thing that happened here is the weld that I laid down left a very nice cut line on this bottom half. So all I gotta do is cut slightly outside the weld, and then I'm going to grind this flat with the grinding wheel, and then I'll just lay some more weld down for security. And that is what we were left with. So I cut all that off. There's some of the pieces right there. And now I'm just going to continue welding around the perimeter. Yeah, I already welded a significant amount, but there's still some gaps here because I can't cut straight. And that's gonna occupy my time for the next, hour. Weld about an inch, let it cool, weld another inch over here, let it cool. Sometimes you could actually hear the sheet metal popping as it cools. So we don't want to warp it too much, so I'm gonna do it slowly. And before anybody asks, yes, this area that I was welding was cleaned off with multiple applications of brake clean prior to welding. All this down here, I will clean that off. Although, frankly, all the grease and that's still on it is its only rust protection, aside from some of the original blue paint showing through. And you can even come see it on this side a little bit. I kind of like the ratty look, so I'm not going to clean it off too much. I'll just spray paint this welded end. Do that. Okay. Stole some of these offcuts out of the scrap bin at work. Shh, don't tell them. But I put them in the vise, bent them up. Come on, focus. Oh well. And they make convenient little bracing to just add a little bit of strength to this joint. Think that's NHRA legal? Alright, now all I gotta do is drill holes. Alright. Oh, I think it just bit. Don't slip. That doesn't want to go through that last little bit. That's okay. I'll just stuff through that with the power drill. That is one thing, is this thing will sometimes take a while to bite because there's a lot of slack in this mechanism. Alright, I'm going to keep going with this and I'll check back with you in a minute. That was a firework, midday on the 4th of July. final result. That'll do. Only held on by 2 bolts, but whatever, it does the job. Boy, that's a good sunset.